Spending $800 on a home EV charger is literally the biggest ripoff in the automotive world right now. Unless you just love setting your savings on fire for a fancy brand badge, because $500 gets you the exact same charging speed and electrical safety in 2026. By the end of this explainer, we're revealing the single $400 charger that outperforms dealership units twice its price. And we're exposing the $15 hardware store mistake that is quietly melting garage outlets all across America.
My buddy Dave actually learned that the hard way just 2 months ago. He bought an $800 charger from his car dealer, called an unlicensed handyman to slap a standard dryer outlet on his garage wall, and plugged it in. 2 weeks later, he walked into his garage at 6 in the morning to the smell of toxic, scorched plastic. The wall outlet had literally melted into a blackened blob of molten nylon, and his car was sitting there completely dead at 12% battery.
And that is exactly because an EV is not a clothes dryer. Look, a dryer runs for 45 minutes and then shuts off. A level 2 charger pulls 40 amps of continuous high-voltage electricity for 8 straight hours while you sleep. If you cut corners on hardware or pick the wrong box, you're playing with fire. But if you know what specs to look for, you can get a commercial-grade, ultra-safe setup in your garage for well under $500.
Number 1. The Emporia Level 2 Smart EV Charger, the Smart Saver.
The first unit on our list is the one that completely reshaped what people expect from an affordable smart charger.
Yep, the Emporia sits right around $399 to $429, depending on whether you get the NEMA 1450 plug or the hardwired version. For that money, you're getting up to 48 amps of output on a 60 amp dedicated breaker, which delivers 11.5 kilowatts of power. On an average EV, that adds about 40 to 46 miles of range for every single hour it's plugged in.
That 48 amp speed is huge if you drive a lot. If you come home at 9 at night with an empty battery and have to leave at 5 in the morning, an 11.5 kilowatt charger gets almost any modern EV from 10% to 80% before your alarm even goes off. Plus, the build comes with a 24-foot heavy-duty cable that stays flexible even when the temperature drops, an Energy Star rating, and full UL certification.
But here's what everyday drivers actually care about, the app. A lot of budget chargers have apps that feel like they were coded by a high schooler back in 2012. Emporia actually built their reputation on home energy monitors, so their app is elite. You can set it to only charge during your utility company's super off-peak hours. If your power company charges 28 cents a kilowatt hour at 5 in the afternoon, but drops down to 8 cents at midnight, this box pays for itself in less than a year just on scheduled savings.
Look at you, Dean, getting all excited about software. I thought you hated smart gadgets.
I hate useless smart gadgets that make you create an account just to toast a bagel. I love software that saves me $50 a month on my electric bill without me lifting a finger. But here's the thing, Marcus is obsessed with that 48 amp peak speed, and most regular drivers just do not actually need it.
Okay, hold on. Why wouldn't someone want the fastest possible charging speed their garage panel can handle?
Because to get 48 amps, you absolutely must hardwire the unit directly into a 60 amp breaker using thick 6-gauge copper wire. If you use a standard 50 amp NEMA 1450 plug, you're capped by the National Electrical Code to 40 amps continuous, which is 9.6 kilowatts. And guess what? 9.6 kilowatts still fills up a 75 kilowatt-hour battery pack in under 8 hours while you're in bed sleeping. So please, don't panic if your home electrical setup only supports 40 amps.
Number 2. The Grizzl-E Classic, the indestructible tank. Fair point on the software, Dean, but if you want something built so tough that it could survive an apocalypse, you have to look at our second pick, the Grizzl-E Classic.
The Grizzl-E Classic is the ultimate anti-smart charger, and I genuinely mean that as the highest possible compliment. It costs around $349 to $379. It's manufactured in Canada, and the casing isn't flimsy plastic. It is a solid cast aluminum enclosure rated NEMA 4 and IP67 waterproof.
You could literally back your pickup truck over this thing, drop it in a snowbank at 20 below zero, spray it with a pressure washer, and it will still charge your vehicle without a single hiccup. It delivers 40 amps continuous or 9.6 kilowatts and comes with a 24-foot rubberized cable that is basically legendary in cold climates because it doesn't turn into a stiff frozen pipe in the middle of a blizzard. And the best part? Zero Wi-Fi, zero touchscreens, zero Bluetooth pairing failures. Inside the aluminum box, there's a set of physical dip switches. You can manually set the output to 16 amps, 24 amps, 32 amps, or 40 amps, depending on what size breaker your electrician installed. Once you set those switches and close the box, you never have to think about it again.
But Dean, what if someone wants energy tracking? What if they want remote start from their couch?
Marcus, your car already has an app.
Your Tesla, your Hyundai, your Ford, your Chevy, they all have built-in charge scheduling inside the vehicle software. Why pay extra for a charger that relies on some third-party cloud server that could go down right when you need to leave for work? The Grizzl-E is an industrial appliance. You plug it into your car, the contactor goes clunk, and electricity flows. Simple, reliable, bulletproof.
Number 3, the Tesla Gen 3 wall connector, the premium ecosystem. Look, I'll admit, there is a real peace of mind to hardware that has no software to crash. But here's where it gets interesting, because half of the people shopping for a home EV charger right now are about to make a massive buying mistake with connector types and brand compatibility. We're in the middle of the biggest connector transition in American car history. Almost every automaker in the US is moving to the NACS port, also known as SAAJ 3400. Now, a lot of non-Tesla drivers see that Tesla logo and immediately assume it won't work for them. That is completely wrong. If you drive a newer EV with a native NACS port, this plugs right into your car with 0 adapters. If you drive an older EV with a J1772 port, you can grab an inexpensive J1772 adapter and charge at full speed.
Coming in at $450 to $485, the Tesla wall connector is an engineering masterpiece for the price. It pumps out 48 amps on a 60-amp circuit, features a super slim 24-foot cable, and has an integrated Wi-Fi radio for firmware updates. It's hardwired, has a sleek, tempered glass look, and comes back by a 4-year warranty, which is 1 full year longer than almost every competitor under $500.
And the killer enthusiast feature on the Tesla wall connector is power sharing. If you have 2 EVs in your household, or you plan on buying a second one in a couple of years, you can install 2 Tesla wall connectors on a single 60-amp electrical circuit. The chargers talk to each other wirelessly over their own internal network and automatically split the available power between both vehicles so you never overload your main breaker panel.
That feature alone can save you thousands of dollars. Running a second dedicated high-amp circuit from your basement panel to the garage can easily run $1,500 in electrician labor. With power sharing, you run one circuit and charge both cars overnight.
Number 4, the Lectron V-BOX 48 amp, the display genius. But what if you don't want to fool around with smartphone apps every single time you want to see how fast your battery is filling up? That brings us to our 4th contender.
The Lectron V-BOX sells for around $379 to $399, and it solves a very specific headache that a lot of EV owners deal with. It has a crystal clear, high-contrast LCD screen right on the front faceplate.
If your home Wi-Fi signal is weak in the garage, or your car is parked in a detached shed where your phone gets 0 bars, smart chargers can be an absolute nightmare to troubleshoot. With the Lectron V-BOX, you plug the handle into your car, look at the screen, and you instantly see the incoming voltage, the exact amperage draw, the total kilowatt hours delivered during that session, and the internal operating temperature.
It takes all the guesswork out of charging. You don't have to pull out your phone, wait for an app to connect, or wonder if your breaker tripped. The screen tells you the whole story in real time. It's available in both 48-amp hardwired and 40-amp plug-in configurations, and it carries an IP65 weather rating with full ETL electrical safety certification.
The only minor compromise on the V-BOX is the cable length. Some packages come with a 20-foot cord instead of the 24-foot industry standard. If your electrical panel is on the back wall of your garage and your car's charge port is on the front fender, 20 feet can be a little tight if you park nose in. But if your charger is mounted near your parking spot, that screen and 48-amp power delivery for under $380 is a serious value play.
Number 5, the Wallbox Pulsar Plus 40 amp, the compact genius.
Now, what if your garage is tight, your wall space is limited, and your home electrical service is already running near its limit? That's where our 5th pick comes in, the Wallbox Pulsar Plus.
The Wallbox Pulsar Plus sits right at $479 to $499, and it is by far the most technologically advanced compact charger on the market. The main unit is a tiny 7.8-inch square that weighs less than 4.5 pounds, but it punches way above its weight class. It gives you 40 amps of charging, a generous 25-foot cable, and a NEMA 4 enclosure rating. But the real reason this unit makes our top 5 is the combination of Bluetooth and dynamic load management.
Yeah, most smart chargers rely purely on Wi-Fi. If your Wi-Fi router drops offline, or if you live in a condo with an underground parking structure where Wi-Fi can't penetrate concrete walls, you lose all control. The Pulsar Plus has direct Bluetooth connectivity, so your phone talks directly to the charger, even in a dead zone.
And let's talk about the absolute game changer for older homes, dynamic load balancing. If your house was built 40 years ago, you might only have a 100 amp or 125 amp electrical service panel. If your central air conditioning, your electric oven, and your clothes dryer are running at the same time, adding a 40 amp EV charger could dangerously overload your main panel. Normally, an electrician will tell you that you need a main panel upgrade, which easily costs $3,000 to $4,500.
But the Wallbox Pulsar Plus can pair with an optional power meter at your main panel. When your house starts pulling heavy power from the stove or AC, the Wallbox automatically throttles the EV charging rate down to keep your home safe. As soon as the stove turns off, it ramps your charging speed right back up to maximum. Spending $500 on a smart charger to completely avoid a $4,000 electrical panel upgrade is the ultimate budget hack. That is exactly how you use technology to save real money. Number 6. Deadly mistakes and the ultimate verdict. But before you go out and buy any of these 5 chargers, we have to cover the most important part of this entire explainer: the deadly installation mistakes that cause garage fires and stranded drivers.
Let's close the loop on that melted outlet story from the beginning. If you decide to buy a plug-in EV charger with a NEMA 1450 plug, you cannot just buy any cheap $15 outlet from the shelf at your local big box store.
Standard residential-grade outlets, like the basic builder-grade Leviton receptacles, are designed for kitchen ranges that only pull high current in short bursts. The internal metal contact blades inside those cheap outlets are thin and loosely clamped. When you pull 32 or 40 amps continuously through them for 8 hours every night, thermal cycling causes those connections to loosen. Resistance shoots through the roof, and the plastic housing literally melts and catches fire.
If you're using a plug-in setup, you must insist that your electrician installs an industrial-grade heavy-duty receptacle like a Hubbell HBL 9450A or an industrial Bryant outlet. Yes, the industrial outlet costs $50 to $70 instead of $15, but the solid brass contacts and screw terminals are built specifically for continuous heavy loads. Or, better yet, skip the outlet entirely and hardwire your charger directly to the breaker box.
Hardwiring eliminates the plug, eliminates the outlet, removes an extra point of thermal failure, and allows you to unlock that full 48-amp charging speed on a 60-amp circuit.
Now, what about that second massive headache we teased earlier? The phantom midnight charging shutoff.
Right, this is the dual GFCI nuisance tripping trap, and it drives new EV owners absolutely crazy. Every certified Level 2 home charger on the market already has sensitive built-in GFCI ground fault protection inside the unit. But recent additions of the National Electrical Code require that any 50-amp outlet installed in a garage must also be protected by a GFCI circuit breaker in your main panel.
When you plug an EV charger with internal GFCI into an outlet that also has a GFCI breaker at the panel, the two safety monitors fight each other. The charger sends tiny test pulses down the ground line to check system integrity, the breaker panel detects it as a ground fault, and it trips the breaker at 2 in the morning. You wake up with 0 miles added to your battery.
The fix? If you hardwire the charger directly into the panel without a wall plug, electrical code in most jurisdictions allows a standard non-GFCI dedicated breaker, because the charger itself provides the certified ground fault safety. No nuisance trips, no dead batteries before your morning commute.
And always remember the 80% continuous load rule under National Electrical Code Section 625. Your charger must never exceed 80% of your circuit breaker rating. A 40-amp breaker gives you 32 amps continuous charging. A 50-amp breaker gives you 40 amps continuous charging. And a 60-amp breaker gives you 48 amps continuous charging. Listen to me carefully on this one. Never try to pull 48 amps through a 50-amp circuit.
So, what's the final verdict? If you want the absolute peak performance, sleekest industrial design, and seamless hardware power sharing between multiple cars, my pick under $500 is the Tesla Gen 3 wall connector, or the Wallbox Pulsar Plus if your home panel needs smart load management. And for the practical driver who wants unbeatable daily value, the Emporia Smart Charger gives you the best energy tracking software and rate scheduling on the market, while the Grizzl-E Classic remains the indestructible king for anyone who just wants a metal box that will charge their car reliably for the next 20 years. The hardware is out there to do this safely and affordably. The real question is, are you going to trust your home's grid to a cheap plastic plug? Or are you ready to invest in a setup that will actually keep your